Someone asked me to show the inside of my sweater and what the floats for my colorwork sweaters look like. So I'm going to show you the two that I have. One is completed. This is the Winter Garden pullover by Marianne Stevens. This was made with a larger yarn weight, so the inside is going to look a little bit different than my Ants in a Row raglan, which I am currently working on with an extremely small yarn weight. Starting off with the Winter Garden pullover, this is what the inside looks like. Now, for this particular sweater, I went a little bit longer with a lot of the pieces that I would pull over. So I would go anywhere from 3 to 5 stitches between twisting it and then knitting, which is carrying over. I am gonna get a little tongue-tied with the terminology if I even remember what it is. But as you're knitting and you are pulling your yarn along with you for your color work, these are called floats, and so you can see kind of how they look. Some of them, they're mostly 3 stitches was about where I did it, but then in some areas I would do 5. It just depended on how I thought it looked. This is a longer one right here. I think that's either 5 or 6. It just depended on how I looked. Most of the time I eyeball it, but for a larger yarn weight, anywhere between 3 and 5. So this is the Ants in a Row raglan, and this one is a much smaller yarn weight. So this is a little bit different. I felt like anything more than 3 and it was starting to bubble a little bit in some areas because the yarn would pillow outwards. So I typically did anywhere between 2 and 3. It really just depended. Occasionally I would do 4, but then on my next row on the wraparound, I would then make sure that there was 2. I'd carry the yarn for 2 stitches instead of the previous time I did 4. So again, I was eyeballing it to see how it looked. I have no doubt that this is going to wet block very well and help with those pillowing areas. But just while I was working on it, I didn't want to have to deal with that too much. So I kind of would just alternate between carrying my stitches for 4, carrying my floats for 4 stitches, and carrying it for a smaller number like 2, or even just like twisting and pulling the float for each 1 stitch. It just depended on what I was doing. Everything I do, for the most part, while I follow patterns, I eyeball a lot of stuff.